Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's GTA 5 video, we're going to be talking about 15 things you need to know about the Benefactor Schlagen GT sports car that's going to be arriving in Grand Theft Auto Online very soon. So let's take a look at this vehicle on the in-game website. It's found on the Legendary Motorsports site, and its price is $1,300,000. And you can see that on the order in which it's supposed to be released, at least on Legendary Motorsports, it is 4th. So it means it could be a little bit before this vehicle arrives in the game. It's a sports car, it's a 2-seater. And in case you guys are wondering what this vehicle is based off of, it's based off of the Mercedes AMG GT, which is one of the most beautiful cars of all time. And I will say, this is probably one of the best looking civilian vehicles that Rockstar has ever added. So I'm so excited for this to finally arrive in the game. Anyways, let's jump into this and let's take a look at the interior before we head into the LSC. In case you guys are wondering what interior this car actually shares with, that would be the Spectre. So the Spectre has the exact same type of interior as the Schlagen GT. It's a pretty standard interior, nothing to like write home about. It's just sort of like a modern-ish look, but it is still pretty cool. So anyways, let's bring this into the Los Santos custom shop now. The first thing you're going to notice here is that there is 23 options of customization. That is awesome. So there's going to be no shortage of customizing this vehicle in GTA Online. The first big customization option you have is on the front bumper, where there is 10 options. You can see there's a lot of extender options, splitter options, and competition splitters. And they all do some pretty different and unique things to the front of this vehicle. So you can have a kind of race car-y version, or you can have more of a stock version, which is what I ended up going for. You've also got the rear bumper as well, which has some vents and diffusers in primary, secondary, and carbon. I ended up keeping it stock as well. I kind of prefer that look, but again, you can change whatever you want. From there, we have the chassis. Now, there's a few different chassis options here. You can have racing seats with dials, with primary cage and secondary cage. So I'm glad that Rockstar doesn't just force one option on you here, because I really liked the racing seats, but I wasn't like a huge fan of the roll cage or the dials. So I was able to just choose those nice racing seats without having, everything else on the internal of the car. So that's pretty cool right there that you at least get those choices. From there, our next upgrade is exhaust. And the exhaust options are pretty simple. You've got some in the rear. You've also got some on the side of the car. Although I will say, all of the side exit exhausts leave this like weird blank spot in the back of the car on the bumper. And I don't like that all that much. So I prefer the rear exit exhaust. Following that, we have some grille upgrades. You have stock, alternate, double alternate, and then classic grille with different icons in carbon, primary, and secondary. I went with the classic grille with the carbon icon. I really liked that look. But again, you can go with whatever you want here. From there, we have 11 different options for the hood, which is really cool. So a lot of these will change up. They will add vents. They will add a whole lot of stuff like carbon fiber on there. So you can really get creative with the hood options. And then from there, we move on to the livery. There's actually 10 different livery options here, all of which are really cool. The first is red stripe, which is going to put an offset red stripe on the right side of the car. And it's also going to have like a Schlagen GT cutout in there on the hood, which looks pretty cool. That extends all the way on the roof and on the bottom of the door sill, so pretty simple. We also have white stripes, which is literally the exact same thing, but instead of it being red, you guessed it, it's white. So pretty simple right there. Following that, we have Mosaic Splash. And Mosaic Splash is one of the more interesting ones, but I also think it's pretty cool. It's like this black to dark green to yellow, sort of pale yellow white gradient that almost turns into like paint splash towards the front. And then it keeps the primary color towards the front of the car. So this one was certainly pretty interesting. I'm not sure I'm like a huge fan of it, but I do admire like the interesting look of this livery. It is definitely pretty unique. So that's Mosaic Splash. Following that, you've got Love Muscle. Love Muscle is very interesting. It sort of is like the Chernikov vodka sponsorship and their sort of peachy red color. And it also has Muscle Gymnasium on the front. This is definitely an interesting livery. I'm sure it would look better with a different primary color, but I just kept the blue on there. So that's Love Muscle. The next is Chernikov Blue, which again is a pretty wild design. You sort of have like this almost digital camo on the hood, roof, and just a little bit of the trunk of the car itself. And then you can also see a blue Chernikov logo on the side and the roof. And you guessed it, the purple one literally just changes the color to purple. Following that, you've got Rim Paint Blue. And Rim Paint Blue is pretty cool. I'm not going to lie, I do like this. It's sort of like a splatter design of paint with like red, white, and light blue. So that's kind of cool. And you've also got the sponsorships all over the car. And you guessed it, the one after that is Rim Paint Orange. And Rim Paint Orange literally is the exact same design, except replacing that very light blue with orange. So either of those designs work really well. Our ninth livery today is Red Abstract, which I don't even know how to describe this. It kind of gives me a headache just looking at it. It almost looks like sort of a mock-up of maybe one of Ken Block's cars. That's sort of like the vibe I'm getting here. That is just absolutely crazy. It sort of takes this like, highlighter neon pinkish red and purple and blue. So pretty cool one right there. Definitely a little bit wacky. And our final one today is Blue Abstract. You guessed it, literally just changes the colors. So I am a little bit disappointed that most of the liveries, there's like a duplicate with just a different color. I was almost hoping there would be some more, but it turns out that there's like really only 5 or 6 unique ones. Most just have duplicates. So those are all the liveries right there for the Schlagen GT. Let's talk about our 3 colors now: primary, secondary, and trim. Primary color is going to have an impact on the entire exterior of the car, minus things that you have applied as the secondary color. And by default, the only thing that will not change is the mirrors. That is the only thing that will not change if you have it by default. Primary color also changes nothing on the inside. The secondary color is what's going to change your mirrors, so you can match your color or make it a little bit different. The secondary color also changes the stitching on the inside of the vehicle that you'll see on the dash and the seats. And then last but not least, your trim color changes like the seats and all the panels on the inside of the car. So that's pretty cool. That's what your 3 colors do right there. You then have roof upgrades. There's some pretty standard ones: secondary, carbon, and then an alternative version of all 3 of those, which is pretty cool. You've got some mirror upgrades as well. You have the stock ones and then primary and carbon fiber ones, which are definitely sort of unique. After that, you have a ton of different spoiler options. So by default, it comes with a stock spoiler. However, the stock spoiler will not give you a traction bonus. You have to choose one of the different spoiler options, which includes no spoiler, to actually get a traction bonus. So funny enough, applying no spoiler will get you a traction bonus, but there's a lot of cool ones. There's some small, simple ones. There's some big, massive ones, including 3 big Wang versions that you can apply to this vehicle. So Rockstar thought big and small for all of the sort of spoiler designs. So that's pretty neat. There's also some sun strips as well: Globe Oil Hardstand and Benefactor. And then you've got the rims. These are custom rims for the Schlagen GT. You won't find these on any of the other categories for rims. I would say if you're trying to replicate them, the closest you're going to get here is the Synthetic Z under the sports category. But I still prefer the stock ones that comes on this vehicle. And as you'll see in a bit, you can actually customize them too, which is kind of cool. So this was my final design right here. I did this sort of like racing green color that I thought would look really good for this car. The first thing I wanted to check was if you could actually change the color of the stock rims on this vehicle. And the answer is yes. So those really cool stock rims, when this vehicle is added into GTA Online, you'll be able to use the iFruit app to be able to change the color of them to whatever you want. So that right there is good news. You can also open up all the doors on this car, including the trunk and the hood. And you can see just how beefy that engine is right there. The doors open pretty normally as well. How do the headlights work on this vehicle at night? They're actually pretty cool. So you've got your standard beams, which look nice. And then when you turn on your brights, an extra set of LEDs will turn on above the normal set of headlights. So you do get sort of a nice little bonus right there. And then your brake lights are pretty standard, but I do like sort of the little tiny LED dots that you see sort of encroaching inwards on the vehicle towards that Benefactor logo. So how does this car perform? That's going to be the big question here, because since this is a sports car, it's going to be competing against the likes of the Pariah and a lot of other really good sports cars in the game. And I will say this vehicle is definitely going to keep up with the Pariah. Now, I'm not sure if we're looking at like a 1A, 1B situation here, or if we're looking at like a Pariah is still a little bit better, but this is super close. But either way, this is one of the best sports cars in the game. Not only is it incredible with its looks, its customization, it's not too terribly expensive. Maybe it's a little bit more expensive than most sports cars, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not outrageous. All in all, you're getting a really amazing vehicle. And the fact that it's on par with one of the better sports cars in the game, the Pariah, which honestly can beat a lot of the supercars in game, gives me a lot of hope that this vehicle will be one of the best and will easily be able to compete in races and stunt races alike. So I am very excited for this vehicle to be added in Grand Theft Auto Online. But anyways, that right there is 15 things you need to know before you end up buying this vehicle. This thing is like as far away from the buyer beware sticker as it gets. As I said, it's not too expensive, amazing customization. It's based off of a super cool real life vehicle, and the performance is top notch. So it's kind of hard to find a fault with this vehicle. The only thing I could say is the liveries aren't that amazing, which is why the version that I've created here doesn't have one, because I don't think any of them look all that great. But that is a very small complaint for an amazing car. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about this vehicle. I'd love to hear from you down there. If you did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new, or you like daily GTA and Red Dead Redemption 2 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.